Fundamentals of Speech class. My name is Olivia Roach, and today I will be presenting on solitary confinement for my demonstrative speech or informative speech. This is my audience.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
And today I will be talking about the treatment and dangers of inmates in solitary confinement. What is solitary confinement? Solitary confinement is the isolation of prisoner or inmates in separate cells as a form of punishment. You can get sent to solitary for little things such as fighting, being disrespectful to guards, separation of gangs, or not following simple rules. The history of solitary confinement. It started in a prison in Philadelphia, Eastern State Penitentiary, where the Quakers believe that being isolated in stone cells with the Bible could give prisoners time to repent and think about what they had done and to pray. Basically, they tried to put them in cells to try to reform them and, to isolate them from everybody, but it didn't really go as they planned. You will see this in the next slide. Okay, the horrors of solitary confinement. This is from an article that I cited. Basically, it says inmates in solitary are locked down in tiny cells with nothing to do. They face crushing depression and anxiety. They scream, they cry, they slash and bite their wrists, their own flesh. They smear feces on the wall. They try to kill themselves with pens and paper clips, with bed sheets and metals from their glasses. Basically, anything that they could find in their cell. And if they survive, they're punished even more. So basically, they give them more time in solitary confinement for trying to kill themselves because of the dangers that they go through in their cells. Solitary confinement makes people go crazy, mad. It defies the law of human nature, which as humans we're supposed to interact with others, have relationship with others, and you can't do that if you're locked in your cell for long periods of time, like years or even decades. And that's when they begin to lose their mental and become unfit to re-enter society. Most of them become, crazy, and after they don't get released back into general population, they get released back into the community, and they really have no way of coping because the prison didn't help them deal with their mental illness. So, this is a chart. Basically, it shows the number of the time period, the percentage of people in prisons for more than 30 days. So this is less than 90 days, which is 34%. 90 to 180 days is 11%. 6 months to 1 year is 13%. 1 year to 3 years is 19%. And more than 3 years is 23%. The demographic composition of male prison population, basically, 41% is white, 41% is black, 16% is Hispanic, and 2% is other. And this is the administrative segregation, and it's 30% white people, or this is solitary confinement, 44% blacks, 24% Hispanic, and 2% other. And I got this from the Wall Street Journal. Basically, this is saying that a lot of people, which is good, but it's still not good, are less than 90 days in solitary confinement. So that's about 3 months. It's not as good, but it's, better than being there for long periods of time, which can really do a damage on your mental. More than 3 years is 23%, but that's not really good either because most of them stay for years to decades in solitary confinement. And for at least 22 hours a day. They're 22 to 23 hours. They're locked down in their cell. They get about an hour to go in the yard and like play, but it's not really a yard. It's really just like a room with a ceiling where you can see outside. So it's not really good. How solitary confinement is cruel and unusual punishment. This is a story of a 22-year-old man named Brandon Polkovic, who was diagnosed upon entering prison with an impulse control disorder and antisocial disorder, just to name a few. While in prison, Brandon was sent to solitary a number of times in 30-day periods because of behaviors caused by his illness. They knew he was mentally ill and they did nothing to help him. They didn't counsel him. Instead, they did like quick interviews through the hole in the door of his cell for like a short time. Basically like, are you okay? How are you feeling today? Like that, which doesn't really help because you can't really see how someone is feeling behind the door, and they're not really going to express themselves if you don't take the time to sit down and try to help them. He was isolated for 23 to 24 hours a day with only 5 hours of weekly exercise time to go out in like the yard and basically have free time for himself. He had attempted suicide a number of times, and when he finally succeeded, he was sent to solitary for a minor rule violation. So that's basically the last time he had like the last straw. They nicknamed him Suicide because of the attempt of suicides he attempted. His family later tried to sue the prison officials in court, and his family complained that the officials violated the Eighth Amendment in two ways: by acting with deliberate indifference to the prison's inhuman conditions of confinement, and to its inadequate mental health care. So basically, they knew he was ill. They didn't do anything to help him. They just like basically shunned him and threw him in solitary confinement, and they didn't see why he was acting like that. Even though the behaviors were connected to his conditions, and basically like being the prisoners being inhumane, basically that's isolating them and not doing anything to help them. In conclusion, people who are in solitary, some of them get released back into the community, straight back from solitary, and still are mentally ill. And that doesn't help the community because they're not well and they can't do anything, so they go back to committing crimes and basically putting themselves back in prison. Again, my name's Alethea Roach. This is my audience.
Oh, I'm still here.
Hi.
And I hope that you guys were informed about the dangers and stuff about solitary confinement. Thank you for watching my speech. Have a good day.